Hello and welcome to Cult of the News, the What You Played news show all about the tabletop industry. My name's Matthew Jude and you might know me from... It wouldn't be another day on planet Earth without a massive board game Kickstarter, but what makes this Kickstarter a very interesting Kickstarter is that it's not a Kickstarter at all. Vanguard ISS, the latest multi-million-dollar board game project, is on GameFound. GameFound is Awaken Realms' sister company, as Awaken Realms have smashed Kickstarter and over again with an unending torrent of funded projects like Tainted Grail, Etherfields and Nemesis. Their latest project, ISS Vanguard, is being funded using GameFound. Vanguard is an asymmetrical co-op adventure where you lead the first human galactic exploration effort, with terrible consequences. I'm assuming by the look of some of the minis that some things might not be quite smooth sailing for our budding pioneers. You'll land on a planet, have a bit of a look around, terrible things will happen. Recruit new crew, upgrade everything and make a stream of important and difficult decisions. But what's cool about GameFound is that it seems as though the stretch goals, or as they're known on GameFound, Grumpkins, I made that up. Well, they seem to be time-based rather than funding-based. They're baked into the project from the start rather than unlockable. Anyway, competition seems to be a good thing and GameFound seem to be providing some of that in the crowdfunding world. The ISS Vanguard campaign finishes in the first week of January and ships sometime around August 2021. Bezier Games have announced that they are kickstarting a new collector's edition of the Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which is a game that I love. The January 2021 project is billed as having, quote, fantastic new art, premium components, 2 new expansions, which is a bit that got me really interested, and game trays, and more. Those that backed the massive Suburbia project from last year will tell you that they managed to deliver on a ludicrous and luxurious edition. I know, because it's the only Kickstarter I've ever backed, and it came in a cube rather than a box. So I'm hoping that the Castles of Mad King Ludwig will receive the same service, and that Bezier have certainly already proved themselves to be capable of providing. Steamforged Games have announced Peaky Blinders Faster Than Truth. I have a love-hate relationship with Peaky Blinders, the British period crime drama television series. I've never seen it, I don't care to watch it, ever, at all, but I do like that a bunch of working class people with my accent managed to get some on-screen credits, even if it is just as ruffian number 16. I'm from the Black Country. It's not the same as Birmingham, but the only people who would ever tell you that are people from the Black Country and Birmingham. There's a rivalry no one cares about. In Faster Than Truth, which is slated for a February 2021 release, players take on the lawless streets of 1920s Birmingham to get money and resources, but of course, all is not as it seems as you'll bluff and lie your way to victory. But if you want to know what the Black Country and Birmingham were like in the 1920s, then you can always, of course, go there now. Ravensburger, the makers and providers of fine cardboard products for villainous Burgundy. They got you covered, or maybe you like puzzles. I don't know what you're into. They're the ones that brought us Strike, the dice game of gladiators fighting in an arena, or the gladiator game of dice fighting in a bowl. It's a divisive topic. They held a charity stream recently hosted by Rolling Dice and Taking Names and featured 3 out of the 4 friendly faces you'll see right here on Watch It Played. No, I wasn't invited to do it. Yes, I am bitter about it. Even more so because Rodney, Chaz and Paula were all out in the first round. But it was all for a good cause, as Ravensburger not only donated $5,000 to Extra Life, who raised money for branches of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, but they also donated a bonus $5,000 spread between the chosen charities of all the guests that took part. To catch the action, you can find the video over on their Twitch channel. And in other charitable news, Asmodee UK are partnering with the great Ormond Street Hospital, who help critically ill children, and they're donating £1 for every sale of Double. So that's fantastic. And as I've stated before, Double is also known as Spot It in the States, but we don't need to go over that again. What's wrong with Double? It's a perfectly fine word, sounds like a Harry Potter character, or maybe a great name for an old cat, or a Prime Minister, or an old cat who is Prime Minister, or I guess we do. If you're a fan of Twitch, or like most of the world, have no idea what on earth Twitch is, or maybe you're like me and just a fairly untrusting of the internet as a whole, you might want to test the waters with a massive day of board games being held on Twitch by the Tabletop Live Network. Full disclosure, I'm taking part in this, so journalistic integrity and so on. TLN, which I'm hoping is being shortened to, was started by the brothers Murph and Roel Gaviola, and it's a monthly gaming marathon with the aim of growing the presence of board games on Twitch, which is mostly known for video game content. Streamers stream back to back, moving their audience along with raids for the whole day. And this month is happening on New Year's Eve as a way to spend the day playing games, even if you can't spend the day playing games. So if you want to explore the world of board game Twitch, then this could be a great place to start. In more restoration games and Unmatched news, which is becoming a almost weekly segment because they've just announced 4 more sets. Redemption Road, Hell's Kitchen, Teen Spirit and For King and Country. What makes these standalone expansions exciting for most people is that they are Marvel expansions, featuring Luke Cage, Moon Knight, Black Widow, Daredevil, Squirrel Girl and a bunch more. So there's lots to be excited about. But if they release anything else for the next 6 months, I'm not covering it. Unless of course I'm literally in it. Or it's full of cryptids, or they do a set that's yokai spirits, or a Cowboy Bebop set, or cats versus dogs, or everyone's a dog. And finally, I'll leave you with news that if you haven't already had enough Cyberpunk in your life, then there's still more Cyberpunk to be had in your life, with the release of Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone by Monster Fight Club to be released next year. Like it or loathe it, which seem to be the only 2 options when it comes to talking about Cyberpunk, it did have somewhat of a bumpy start, with the game being withdrawn from the PlayStation Store. But elsewhere, the IP seems to be going strong. So, Cyberpunk Red is set in 2045, 15 years before the RPG and 32 years before the new video game, Cyberpunk 2077. According to the press release, in the time of the Red, every city has a combat zone, an area of the city where law doesn't reach and cyber-enhanced gangs vie for control of the streets. So from what I understand, it's essentially Peaky Blinders. Me cybernetic implants been giving me jip, me yet's killing me. Why Dario, come down the cut with me mon. A get a pint of Banks is down your wazzin. I'm not going to lie, my auto-cue just did not know how to process what I just said. Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone is a fast-paced, free-flowing skirmish miniatures game, where there are no rounds or turns. And that's very interesting to me. Monster Fight Club say that Combat Zone leaves the traditional rulers and tape measures behind and introduces a new limiter-based movement and range system where your character's attacks and movements depend on the quality of their actions. And we can expect it later on in 2021. And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Matthew Jude from Watch It Played. Have a safe new year everyone. Take care.